Hello, everyone. You know what time it is? Time now for Source Radio Network. I am so happy to be on Healthy Living on this amazing platform with the amazing hostess, Kathy B. And we've already called into the show. Let's turn up the volume and we're going live now.
Good evening, Source Nation. Good evening, and welcome to Healthy Living. I am your host, Kathy B. We have about 35 minutes before we leave the live feed. Telephone number to reach us tonight is 619-924-0933. Again, 619-924-0933. Well, we have another dynamic conversation going on tonight, but I need to thank some amazing people because tonight's show would not be possible without them, and they are Zelina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Mills, and Renovators. Now, you guys know that Dr. Julissa and I are doing a 10-week series. That's right, all about the preservation of sex. Now, you all have to tune in because we're going to elaborate each week on some information that is very important that will begin to heighten your sexual experience. Now, tonight's topic, let me tell you, it's all about avoidance of overwork, harshness, excessive sex, and injury of genitals. Now, this is going to tickle Dr. Julissa's fancy, but I'm going to say this, Source Nation. As women, we know that we like to take it very slow and sensual when it comes to sex, right? Well, tonight's conversation is going to be about that and more. I'm excited to have my best friend here in the studio with me, Dr. Julissa Hernandez. She's coming in tonight, and we're going to be speaking on a great topic. I do believe that she's in the studio with me. Dr. Julissa, hello, and welcome to Healthy Living. How are you this evening?
I'm feeling excited to talk about another juicy topic, and I loved your intro, and yes, it did tickle my fancy. You're absolutely right. The majority of women do love it that way. Slow and sensual. Beautifully put, darling.
Yes. I love it. Cannot wait. But you know, we have brand new family members that tune in every single week. And then, of course, everyone that's listening to Healthy Living. If you could take a moment, Dr. Julissa, and just introduce yourself, we'll jump into the conversation from there.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Kathy. Hello, Source Radio family. Hello, Facebook family. I'm Dr. Julissa Hernandez, naturopathic doctor, practicing now for over 22 years. I'm an international speaker of natural medicine, a teacher of natural medicine, radio and television personality, and also an author of the book, The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility, and honored to be a part of this amazing platform with all of you. Thank you, Kathy, for having me once again.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Julissa. Well, as I stated, Source Nation, we are doing a 10-week series all about the preservation of sex. And of course, we'll be sourcing information from Dr. Julissa's new book, The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility. Now, this is what I want to say. Yes, the book is about fertility, but I want you all to rest assured that we're also speaking of the reproductive system. Of course, fertility for the ones that are planning on having a family, it's so important that you begin to take care of your body. Not only the women, but the men that are in their lives, those partners. You want to become healthy as well. So Dr. Julissa is going to give us some great information. And then, of course, overall, our reproductive systems need to be healthy. So we're going to tackle on tonight's subject, as well as in coming weeks, more information on how we can become healthy in a fertility state, as well as overall body health when it comes to our reproductive system. So let me remind you once again, we're going to be sourcing from Dr. Julissa's new book, which is the Naturopathic Approach to Fertility. And then, of course, any information, Source Nation, that I have, I will also put that information out on Facebook. And tonight's conversation is all about avoidance of overwork, harshness, excessive sex, and injury of genitals. So let's jump right on in, Dr. Julissa, because I'm telling you, this is an amazing topic.
Okay.
And I found some great research information that we can pair with what you wrote. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Now,
Okay.
my first question, why was this so important to place in the book? And let's talk about some of the things that you've experienced with your clients in regards to this particular area when it comes to fertility and reproductive health.
Okay. Well, what I felt so important to source here is how we have to create balance at the same time, just to obviously have good health and for any healing to occur. And when we look at Chinese medicine, a philosophy, a medical practice that is just over 5,000 years old, we have to look at their wonderful record of success. And so I felt it very important to put here the prescriptions of life preservation and how Chinese medicine views sex can be healing and healthy. And since that is the engine that must be, practiced to maintain intimacy in a relationship, to create a close bond between you and your partner, and obviously to conceive for those couples that do want to have that baby, then I felt it very important to share the important other aspects besides just the nitty gritty intercourse part. Okay, boom, fine, but there are other things prior to that moment of the intercourse and achieving and conceiving the baby that could either interfere or enhance that process. And so I felt it important to share that in my book here.
Okay. And I like that. And I want to, if I can, Dr. Julissa, just read an excerpt from what you've written, so therefore Source Nation can get a general consensus of what was stated in the book and why we're speaking on this topic tonight. And in the book, you said you feel that intercourse should be loving, slow, and sensual, with both of you looking into each other's eyes as much as possible. If there is overwork or harshness during sex, this will create stress, which we know is detrimental to one's balance and state of health. I want to stop right there because I think that is so very important. I mentioned something in the opening where I stated that as women, we really like to take it slow when it comes to being intimate and being there and being able to connect with our partner, and when I think about this, I think about the times that you and I often shared over the years about how certain women are unable to climax or to have an orgasm. So let's talk about that, because I find that to be very important. The fact is that women naturally like to feel connected to their partner.
Yes.
Why is that so important when it comes to fertility and conception, or just overall feeling good about making love to the
wonderful question. The best example that I can give you, I love that, and that you're able to really share how you've noticed that women are more internal, and naturally men are more external in their mannerisms and in their way of carrying themselves and so on, and how we, from being women who are connected to our internal state that way, that's why we feel that we need that more emotional, deep connection within. So the reason is this. First off, we're yin creatures, that's feminine energy. Men are yang creatures. But if you look at a woman, what yin means, it means internal. It means within. And so when you look at a woman and the way she's made, we are receivers. And if you look at the way a man is made and developed and look at his loins, he is a giver. And so because we are made this way, and we are made to be receivers, to receive from the man, then that is why we're very much connected to everything that is within us. And that's how it's looked at within Chinese medicine, since we're yin creatures. That's feminine energy. And so you're absolutely right. We are creatures that, yes, there are women out there that can be just fine, of course, with just having that physical, moment and not need to have there. It can happen, of course, that she can have not need that, for example, deep emotional connection. But in that sense, women are more sensitive to that. They just naturally, physically, scientifically is shown men don't need that as much. However, we are both men and women creatures that would desire love. Both creatures desire to have intimacy and relationships, but women are more connected with their emotions and that internal being part of us.
I love that. I love that. Now, let's talk about, because in the article, and of course, most mentioned this as I stated, any information that we talk about on the show, we'll definitely make sure that you can read it at your leisure, so you can go over to our Facebook pages to find that information. But for men's fitness, this is the article that I was reading that I found so interesting. And it says why slow sex is better and why we as women connect to it more. And this particular paragraph, it talked about women love to be stimulated longer and slower. So the longer that it is and the slower that it is, it heightens the sexual experience more. Particularly, they say that men think about sex more than women. So in the moment of intimacy, they're like, okay, let's get to it, and it's done and over with. Whereas the woman feels like, okay, is that it? So they're saying that we as women, we literally talk to our partners about what will make us happy, what will please us, and the fact that stimulation is the area that can get us to the orgasm and the climax. What are your thoughts about that? And is that really true?
I agree that the majority of women would resonate with that. It doesn't mean that a man can't enjoy a slow moment of intimacy if his partner is the one pleasing him. However, it is definitely something that is geared more towards women. The more patients I discuss and talk to and so on, I've had couples that come into the office and share that, for example, she has not reached her point, but he's already done. And this is with them sitting in front of me in a consultation where that's shared there, and we have to discuss certain things about maybe why he's not responding, maybe she's not responding. And so most definitely that has been expressed many a time, and as a woman and you as a woman, we feel that is something that resonates with us. Doesn't mean that we can't have fast moments as well and enjoy pleasure, but slow sensuality is something that a woman will enjoy. It doesn't mean a man can't, once again, but yes, I agree with that, absolutely.
Oh, great information. Now, I want to go back to your text here and the conversation that we're speaking on tonight. I want to talk about the stress part, because I find that to be very interesting also, Dr. Julissa, especially when we're talking in reference to conception. Remember, in our very first conversation, I shared with you a story about a best friend of mine who was trying to conceive, and she had multiple miscarriages. Talk, Source Nation, if you will, about stress and how that can literally put the body in a state to where it may cause some harm in performance, not just for the woman, but for the male partner as well.
Agreed. Well, let me also detail and read here what I've actually shared. If there is, and this is page 138 for those of you that have my book and are reading along and following us on these weekly series, if there is overwork or harshness, for example, during sex, and this will most definitely then create stress, which we know is already detrimental to one's balance and state of health. So speaking frankly, speaking as adults here, we should understand that rough sex is most definitely part of what many people enjoy. And when I say rough sex, some people understand it as hardcore. Let's be blunt and state it that way. However, understand that this causes stress to the body. Yes, okay, enjoy your pleasure in the moment. And it's not what I recommend, though, when you're trying to conceive. Now, why is that? The state of your bodies, the way your balance is, your physical, mental, emotional balance, all this is very important. And it's part of the makeup of a woman's eggs and the makeup of a man's sperm. So we don't want to pass on a stressful state of being to our child, to our future baby. That's why I would always recommend that they pass on inner peace, that they pass on love during your intimate sessions together. It should be so enjoyable. It should be so rich with feeling each other in every single way possible. This will make for a more enriched baby making experience, and what you're passing on is not a stressful moment. Yes, I get it, and it is pleasurable, whether it's slow and sensual, then it turns to, fast and rough and whatever it may be, whatever floats your boats. However, in my recommendation during the time of conception, I recommend it be as loving, as sensual, as compassionate, understanding, and open, peacefully calm, joyous in every single way that you can make it, so that is what you pretty much pass on to baby. And in those 9 days that I recommend for the couples to be intimate, I recommend that they carry on in that way. And I can't tell you time and again how they come back telling me that it has enriched their lovemaking to take things on a slower pace that way.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. I want to stay right there and concentrate, because you mentioned that in our very first conversation, that the first 9 days of conception is something that the couples need to focus on. And this is when I said that this is a great way for them to really connect and begin to understand their desires and what it is that they want within the relationship. I find that to be very important. If you will, Dr. Julissa, elaborate just a little bit more for our Brandy family members that are listening tonight for that area. Why is the 9 days so important and significant, especially in Chinese medicine?
Okay, well, what I explained in the last chapter of my book is exactly what I calculate as the 9-day, and I've had couples term it, a couple that termed it the baby marathon, in other words, where we calculate that woman's ovulation cycle and give her that 9-day window where both of them have to be intimate and have to have sex for 9 days straight. And that is how I've been able to help so many of my couples to achieve pregnancy, because I give them that sort of a window, and it's been a blessing over 22 years to be so successful in helping couples to achieve that dream of the baby they so desire, working in this manner in a natural, loving way. So what it is calculating a certain amount of days from the first day of her period. I state all of that in the last chapter of my book. Once again, all that is detailed in a calendar image that's drawn there for you to be able to calculate your own cycle and days of intimacy. And then, of course, then to carry on during a specific time of day if they'd enjoy that better, where the Chinese medicine considers a certain time of day circulation sex time, best time to be intimate during the day, where we have heightened fertility, and I state all that there. And then, of course, again, 9 days straight, so that we don't fail, so that we definitely help to get her pregnant and help to, help them achieve that. And that's that window, that 9 days where they have to have sex 9 days straight. And believe me, they're ready for it because in those first 90 days where we work together, where I balance them, where their sexuality is enhanced, where their hormones are balanced. They've been using herbal therapy program for 90 days to balance, strengthen, build, strengthen uterine walls, double sperm count, everything that I detail in my book that entails, achieving that. So once we get to that point, they're bouncing off the walls. As I had another couple stated, I had a woman tell me, "I'm bouncing off the walls, Julissa. This aphrodisiac you've given me," So they use herbs that are They use herbs that are as such. And I've shared some of those herbal therapies here with you. They use natural aphrodisiacs too to heighten sexual desire, but that at the same time have properties that enhance fertility. So it's a beautiful thing. And more sensitivity. She feels more, she orgasms easier. He feels that pleasure that he can have her achieve that pleasure quicker, and it's wonderful. It just feels so good to have happy couples.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Now, with that being said,
yes.
let's talk about the men and having the time to recover from all of this love making. Now, in this particular article, it talks about that the men actually do need time to recover, especially, I'm assuming, during that 9 days when they're connecting and they're meeting up to do whatever they need to do to bring baby into the picture.
Yes.
How true is that? Men needing time to recover from the intimacy. Is that true? Have you talked to couples that have been in that state where the man may feel like it's too much?
There have been a couple that maybe have felt that, after day 5 he needed to take a break and then it resumed. That has happened. However, keep in mind that what I am helping them also with here is enhancing the circulatory system. What a man needs to achieve a strong, healthy erection is a healthy blood flow, healthy sexual healthy circulatory blood flow to extremities, and that includes the genital region. And so it's not that, maybe if in the past it was more of a difficulty. I find that obviously as we're going through the first 90 days, he's feeling more enhanced. I ask all the questions while we're going through this process. This is a journey that I take with them together. I ask everything that I have to know exactly how they're doing, how they're feeling, is he feeling that his erections are stronger? Is she feeling such and such? And so I cover that in making sure that they can respond and carry out those days necessary for them to be able to do that. It's rare for me to have, it's rare, it has happened, a couple of times, a few times, but very rare for a man to tell me that he's not able to carry it out those 9 days. Because in the first 90, I recommend that they refrain from being too sexually active. Remember that we don't want to deplete the sperm quality, and I also state that in my book. We talked about that last week, how too much sex can take away the healthy quality of sperm and so on and so forth. So there has to be a balance, but during that time that they're resting more than anything and not carrying out marathons every single month, by the time we reach those 90 days, they feel ready. They're, a lot of them, I'm ready, Dr. Julissa. It's funny. It's good. I had a couple from Connecticut in my office yesterday and he's a go-getter. He's just ready for that. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see them overjoyed and just happy to connect in that way. It's beautiful. It feels good.
Good information. Of course, Nathan, we are speaking with Dr. Julissa Hernandez. And, of course, tonight we are continuing our 10-week series on the preservation of sex. And, of course, tonight's conversation is all about Principle 4, which is avoidance of overwork, harshness, excessive sex, and injury of genitals. Now, this is what I want to talk about, Dr. Julissa.
Yes.
I want to talk about how to, in reference to a man, what are some of the things that he needs to do to have a healthy and strong erection, as well as with women? What are some of the things that we can do to have a healthy and stronger orgasms? What are you sharing with your couples, and why is that so important?
Wonderful. Another wonderful question. It's all about focusing on the circulatory system, and I actually have a full chapter dedicated to explaining and giving them the actual solutions of how to enhance that and how a weakened circulatory system affects fertility and the reproductive system in general. With a man, what he needs is that erectile tissues, which is what the penis is comprised of, need blood flow to become erect. They need that. If a man has diabetes, if he has high cholesterol, if he has high triglycerides, if the blood is just not circulating the way it should, if he has atherosclerosis, arterial sclerosis, then he's going to have problems with his erection. It'll be weakened. He can lose erections quicker if he's having these sorts of issues and the blood is too thick and not flowing as nicely as it should to extremities, whether it's head, hands, feet, genital region. The woman also must have a healthy circulatory system. If you're a woman that has varicose veins, if you're a woman that has spider veins, if you're a woman who is a diabetic or also has issues with high cholesterol, high triglycerides, then there are issues of the circulatory system. Those are symptoms. It's letting you know that there's an issue there. And most likely you've noticed sex drive has lessened. You're not able to achieve orgasms as such. And when we consider, which I also mentioned last week, Kathy, the G-spot in a woman, right? Her G-spot is comprised of erectile tissues. So what's necessary here? A woman also needs to have good blood flow so that those erectile tissues that are what her G-spot is comprised of can also become, they become stimulated, they become engorged also when a woman is excited. And so she's more sensitive if she has good blood flow. So what I recommend are certain herbal therapies. I recommend things like butcher's broom. I recommend a number of supplements that I use with patients there to enhance that. Because if you're not having sex, it's going to affect your relationship. That's a problem. And if you're not having sex, it's difficult to have a baby. So we have to make sure that they're feeling good in all those areas, and all of those things I have to focus on when I'm helping couples, whether it's to just bring them closer, to help them with their sex lives, to strengthen, nourish, balance their reproductive system, or to help them conceive, either or.
Love it. I want to go back to what we were speaking on in men's fitness, and it talks about a couple of things that a woman could do to strengthen her orgasm, and then, of course, what men could do to strengthen having ejaculation or stronger ejaculation. And this is what they said. They said for women, you need to do reps. What are reps? They said the stronger the muscles that control your orgasm, the longer you'll last during sex, okay? So basically you want to strengthen the muscles that help you urinate, meaning you're contracting that muscle. And they're saying that you need to do that at least maybe 20 to 60 times daily. So it's like you're stopping as if you were going to urinate, but you're stopping that muscle and you're contracting it. Then it said for men to really begin on focusing your breathing. So you're wanting to take deep breaths during sex. This is the best way, they said, that this is the best way for you to have a stronger ejaculation. If you were during sex, slow breathing, and just focus on inhaling and exhaling, which can avoid you climaxing too early. What are your thoughts about that, Dr. Julissa, and is that actually true for both men and women?
I absolutely agree with that. I believe that the breathing is also something that can enhance a woman with her sexuality. That's why, with yoga, there is breathing and things like that are going to enhance it. Now, why? Because you're also bringing more oxygen to extremities when you're doing deep breathing. And that makes sense, bringing more oxygen. That also enhances extra blood flow. to extremities when you're having healthy breathing and bringing more oxygen into the body. It's like we're pushing blood as well to flow the way that it should. When we're having very shallow breathing, it's not the same. So with a woman, and what you mentioned as far as the Kegels, that's what those are, where you tighten as though you're holding your urine, and then you release. Tighten once again. For those ladies that are sitting in your seats right now, go ahead and practice that. Tighten as though you're holding your urine, and then release. Tighten and release. You can do that, as you mentioned there in the article. Wonderful. Doing that 20 to 60 times. I recommend that to women that are having issues with even incontinence, to do those sorts of exercises that help. And of course, that will also enhance sexuality. So I wrote an article on vaginal atrophy, where it's where the muscles of the vaginal walls atrophy, and that affects her sexuality. It causes frigidity in women, and so that exercise of doing Kegels is something I also recommend for those patients when they actually have been diagnosed with vaginal atrophy, women who, for example, have not been very sexually active, maybe they're widows, haven't had a partner for a long time, have decided to be abstinent or celibate for a long time. That can happen. They're muscles that need to be used, and if you don't use it, you lose it, in other words. And so, yes, I absolutely agree with that. Those types of exercises and good breathing will enhance health in every way.
Okay. Good information. I like that. Now, the last part of this article talked about the different pleasure moments and different strokes. And I want to read this to you, and I want to see if you could possibly elaborate a little bit more.
Okay.
And it states, it says, while women just have one G-spot, men have the equivalent of two, one near the prostate and one on top of the penis, just below the head. That is why it's so important to alternate, between long and shorter strokes. They said that this is how you can begin to excite your partner, your girlfriend, your wife, a little bit longer, and it gives more of an extra stimulation. What are your thoughts about that? And is that actually true?
Yes. A man is very sensitive right by the prostate area when entering the rectal area, and yes, right below, where the shaft would begin below the head is a very sensitive area for a man as well. Yes. So most definitely a female, or I'm sorry, the man's partner can definitely focus on those areas if he desires so. But yes, that would make sense why he has to stroke in different ways and different rhythms and different speeds, so that he can stimulate that area right at the top of the shaft, right below the head, which is where he's going to feel the most sensitivity. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Great information. Of course, I always like to talk about what are some of the things, dietary, what can we do on a daily basis really to begin to strengthen, our area when it's pertaining to intimacy and sex? What are some of the things that we can do on a daily basis for dietary and exercising? What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, since we're talking about sex, I also state in my book a lot of the foods and the diet changes that one needs to make to enhance sexuality, a lot of the changes of some foods that they can start to incorporate to actually enhance that as well. So for women, I do recommend incorporating more cayenne pepper in your diet if you're having challenges with achieving orgasm, or you would love to have heightened orgasms as well, along with the herbs that I recommend here, the herbal therapies that are to balance hormones and work as natural aphrodisiacs as well. Something that you can add to foods that'll do that is red cayenne, capsicum as we call it. That is wonderful for bringing blood flow to the vaginal walls, along with other supplements that I recommend there. But it also helps to heighten, what it does is it puts a woman's pain sensors on alert. So don't think pain, but it just makes you more sensitive. So combining herbal therapies and increasing that in your meals does that as well. if we're talking about hormonal balance and testosterone being low, let's say in a man, and him having challenges with estrogen dominance, maybe prostate issues or whatever it may be, bringing in broccoli, which contains indole 3-carbinol, to absorb excess estrogens in the body. Start incorporating more of that in your diet, gentlemen. It'll help to reduce excess estrogen so that your testosterone levels supersede that. Where you need more of that, then obviously then you need estrogen, and that will help to correct that imbalance. So those are just 2 extra little tips I wanted to add and share with all of you there.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Julissa, again, it has been indeed a pleasure having you come in tonight and really begin to speak to us on tonight's subject, which is, once again, Source Nation, avoidance of overwork, harshness, excessive sex, and injury of genitals. And of course, you can find this in Dr. Julissa's brand new book, The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility, and of course, tune in every single Thursday where we are speaking on 10 wonderful topics. We're doing a 10-week series, and of course, tonight was all about Principle 4. Dr. Julissa, if you will, of course, you know I love to end the show either with some encouraging word or possibly some tips and advice that you can leave with Source Nation. If you wish to contribute, I would love for you to do so at this time.
Okay, wonderful. Well, the principles, once again, that we are discussing are really with regards to prescriptions of life preservation. So you can find all that from pages 136 to 141, and it is not just for couples that want to conceive. It is absolutely for those that want to grow closer in intimacy, want to share more of a closer bond. And as we stated in the other show, I believe it was last week, we stated it as well. It is so important for a relationship to try to maintain as best they can that physical intimacy, because studies state that if the sex is not good in a relationship, it tends to be 80% of the relationship. Yet, when it is good and it is pleasurable for both and they both feel ultimately satisfied with their partners, then it's only 20% of your relationship. And if that is something that you truly value, it's something to be treasured and something to work on and focus on if it needs bettering. So I pray that all that tonight's information has helped all of you out, and you can find my information at drjulissa.com. That's drjulissa.com. You can also find my book, The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility, on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Thank you for having me, Kathy.
Awesome. Dr. Julissa, thank you again for coming in tonight and giving us some great information in reference to tonight's conversation, which once again is avoidance of overwork, harshness, excessive sex, and injury of genitals. Great conversation, and I'm definitely looking forward to having our next conversation again next week. Thank you so much.
Forever welcome. Looking forward to it, and love these juicy topics with you, dear. Talk to you next week.
Oh, yes. All right. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we'll see you again next week.
You too. Bye now.
All right. Source Nation, you heard